All right, so we are recording. I'm super excited to be with everybody tonight. We're going to talk about mindset when it comes to money. This is something that I have been thinking about and talking through with myself, my husband, just different areas of things that are going on. And it wasn't until end of last year, so I guess in November of last year, when I really came down and said, I'm going to put the work into this of understanding what my mindset is and what's going on with my thoughts around money. And then this year, I've just kind of leaped into some areas of training. And I think that what I'm so passionate about is that it's not just my issue. It is your issue too. And I see it, and we've talked about it. And especially over the last couple of months, y'all have started sharing some different things with me around it. So it was very important to me that we have this conversation, because everything about your future depends on this. I think a lot of people don't realize subconsciously that success in this business and mindset go hand in hand. And so if you have money issues, and we're going to talk through those and what that looks like, if you are not working through those beliefs and where those beliefs came from, and if they're limiting beliefs, you cannot be successful. You will be stuck. You will sabotage. You will not show up. You will make excuses. You will point fingers. And so I'm really excited to be able to bring this to you. So I also want to share with you, none of this is my original material at all. I love Ecclesiastes, which says that everything that's been created under the sun has been created, right? And so it comes from Bob Heilig. I'm in his next level leadership. It comes from The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker. It comes from Chris Valaton's Poverty, Riches, and Wealth. It comes from some audible books that I have been working through the last couple of years. So this is none of this. I give credit to those people that are changing my mindset, and I give credit to Bob Heilig, who has really helped me understand and see some things to unlock some. Everything has changed for me in 2020. And so I'm excited for you to learn some of these things, to glean from it. I hope that you're going to take some notes. And if you do the work on what I'm about to share with you, everything will change for you. And it can change quickly, but you have to do the work. So let me share my screen and we will get going. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to close this up so that is out of the way, and we are going to get ourselves going here. All right. So money matters. What you think is seen in how you grow. So your vision of this business and your future and your desires and your why, that plus your belief system, your mindset equals, and it's a big question mark. And most probably your vision and your growth may not be equaling today. And I would say that the bottom line of that is your beliefs. And are they limiting beliefs, and you working through what that is and what that looks like for you? So let's talk a little bit about your capacity. You've been conditioned to only accept a certain amount of income and success in your life. It's self-imposed limitations because of our negative thoughts, our limiting beliefs, and it's keeping us from being able to receive. And you might not even realize that you have been conditioned in this way. I mean, oftentimes it's our mindset that keeps us from what we want, and the vision that we believe that God has given us, those God-given dreams that we have. But I want you to understand that your relationship with money, because in this business, success and money, they go hand in hand. And whether we're talking success or money, if it's lacking, it's only a symptom of your true problem, which is your mindset around success and money. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So your mindset, those stories, they're either for you or they are against you. Just this weekend, my husband and I were talking about some negative thoughts that were going on And he was talking to me about some stuff that was going on with him. And I said, you know what? I put a name to my bully last year in the fall of 2019. I can tell you exactly when I did it. I put a name to my bully, and honestly, she doesn't even bother me anymore. You have to come to the realization that what you are thinking, it's either for you or against you, and you can interrupt your thoughts. You can stop it. It keeps you from getting to your vision for this business, and it keeps you from impacting lives. So when you see a certain amount of success, if that's your capacity, we talked about that last week. If you haven't watched my lives in the last 2 weeks, if you haven't been on some of my trainings, go back and look at those things. Because if that's your capacity, that's your level to receive, then you're going to begin to struggle with inconsistency, with self-sabotage, and undermining yourself. I see this played out over and over again. People hit a certain level. It could be silver, gold, senior ruby, emerald, and they begin to self-destruct. Quit working consistently. They become very inconsistent, don't show up, make excuses, take a break. They go into management mode, but they shut down because they've hit their capacity and they're not even realizing that they've done it. And they begin to question systems. They begin to question, do I just have to work harder? And am I willing to work harder? We talked about that last night in our live. So your external results will always find a way to come back to your internal belief system. You have to realize this. Your external results will always find a way back to your internal belief system. Bob Heilig says it this way, and many of y'all went through this training with him last year. Your being will always trump your doing. So you can do all the IPAs. You can send out 50 messages a day. You can do, and say, but I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work. I'm putting in 8 hours. I don't even have 8 hours to put in, but I'm putting in 8 hours. But your doing those results of what you're doing is literally because of who you are. Your being will always trump. We talk about that a lot with your posture, with the way that you present yourself, with the way that you speak. Lots of people write, they would rather text than leave a voice clip, or they'd rather leave a voice clip than to get on a phone call. There is a belief in you that is sabotaging your future because you have a fear of either speaking, having a voice, being an advisor, being a coach, and it's shutting you down. And so your external results are showing that because of your internal belief system. I hope that that's making sense for you. So limiting beliefs. If you're stuck at a certain rank, if you lack consistency in your business, if you aren't able to retain at a 75 to 85% rate in retaining, what I'm talking about is that you do all the recruiting, you bring on customers, you bring on ambassadors, but then they're gone in 30 days. There needs to be a focus on mindset around money and success, because that is where you're sabotaging yourself. You have this past programming that is keeping you from seeing more for your life. It's an identity crisis is what it is. It's this imposter syndrome. You either are going to feel guilty, or you think that people are going to think differently of you, or you don't deserve what you've received. I've seen people make unbelievable changes in 1 month and hit these huge ranks, and then it all goes away. They worked so hard and so fast, and then it's gone. And it's this imposter syndrome, this identity crisis. You sabotage your results and you look for ways to undermine your own success, and it's all subconscious. Oftentimes we see it with inconsistency in growth, or that retention that we're talking about. That fear of failure begins to drive your thoughts. So often you don't stay in contact with your clients. You don't even do the follow-up process. And we've talked so often about the importance of you've worked so hard, and really your very first conversation and them joining is the beginning of their journey of success. And until you see them successful, you're still working side by side with them. But you have this huge fear of failure. So you don't even contact them again to see how they're doing. You don't you don't check on them on day 3, day 7, day 14, day 21, because you're like, but what if they leave? What if they return their products? What if? And you're sabotaging because of these limiting beliefs that you have inside of success, of money, of worth, of deserving. And those are the things that you need to work through. You'll begin to say things like, I can't, all the time. I can't get on a live. I can't do my IPAs today. I can't do any more. I'm overwhelmed. You're going to hear that, and you're going to start having excuses for not showing up, because you've got to get down to the internal of what's going on to be able to move forward. You may not even realize that you're doing this to yourself, to your business, to your future, and the lives of the families that you've been called to impact. Completely unaware that you have limiting beliefs around money and success has kept you from doing the work on your internal thoughts. Instead, you continue just to look outside of yourself at systems, working harder, overwhelmed with social media, etc. And this is what I want you to understand, is that your beliefs will always, they will always, I need to say it again, they will always guide your actions. Your internal beliefs and what you believe about yourself and how you've been conditioned will always guide your actions. So focusing on your actions and strategies won't ever make a difference if you don't address what's going on inside your head. That's why it is important to work through the formula of transformation that we talked about. If you need to know what I'm talking about, please, I beg you to reach out to your upline or to me and to ask what that's all about, and let us help you with that. It's about your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your results. I literally do the work every single day, every single day. I do the work and I interrupt my thoughts outside of my business, with my family, with my friends. Whenever something is coming in that is not serving me, I do the work on my mindset, because there's something there that has been conditioned, that is a limiting belief that needs to be taken out. So do the work, slow down, and put it into practice. And I think that this is where I failed so many times. I knew I needed to do the work last year, the year before. I just thought that maybe I had. And I thought, well, if I know I need to do the work and I kind of know the lingo, then maybe that means I did the work, because I really don't want to slow down. And we've heard over and over again that you have to slow down to speed up. And what we're talking about in that is doing the work of your mindset and of your beliefs. You have to slow down and do the work to speed up. So make sure that you're doing that. So this is what I want you to think about. What is it that's going on to feel, what is it going to feel like to have the success and those results you've been dreaming about? What is it going to feel like to hit that big rank advancement you've been shooting for? How will it feel to be off the roller coaster of good and bad months, good and bad days, and having to fight just to maintain your current rank? What will life be like to finally be able to experience the true happiness, joy, and fulfillment you've been searching for in your business? I want you to think about those things. I hope that you'll take a screenshot of that, write down these things, and I really want you to start thinking about these questions that I'm sharing with you tonight. All of that is available to you. It's all on the other side of realizing that money mindset matters. Is there a current rank, size of team, monthly volume, income that you find yourself stuck at? I want you to really write it down. How do I talk to myself about it? What are my thoughts around it? What are the things I believe about money and success? What are those limiting beliefs? So let's talk about the money model. The money model, did you know that you have been programmed to think a certain way about money? You have beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and actions, and they come from childhood, they come from past experiences. And these teachings conditioned you to create these automatic responses that run your decisions in your life. Have you ever thought about that? Like whenever you're driving on the highway, I do this so often, and I go just into auto drive and I just get to where I am. And I remember there was one time that I just got to where I was talking on the phone, a speaker phone. I was not holding a phone, but I was on the phone. I was very much doing safety practices of driving, but I got to where I was and I literally told the person, I don't even know how I got here. Like all of a sudden I'm here. Because it was an automatic auto drive. That is what is happening in our minds with this money model of being conditioned in a specific way. You've come to automatically think a certain way. In fact, you've never thought to think differently. Think about it for just a minute. Like, why do you believe what you do about money? Why do you believe what you believe? The first thing you have to do to change your thoughts, and it's time to do that. You've got to change your thoughts. Changing your beliefs is your first step to changing your future when it comes to success, because success and money go hand in hand. And so I wanted to share this with you, this tree analogy that was shared with me from Bob Heilig. And this is what he said. And it was so fascinating to think through this. The fruits of the tree are our results. So those results could be income, size of your team, your rank. That's the fruits on the tree. What actually creates the fruits are the roots of the tree, the seeds. And that is your belief. And it's what's under the ground that creates that which is above the ground. It's the roots below that create the fruit. It's what's invisible that creates the visible. If you want to change the fruits, you have to change the roots. You can't change the fruits that are already hanging on the tree. They're already there. They're already resulted there. But you can change tomorrow's fruits by changing the underlying beliefs. And those roots of the tree are your beliefs. And I think that my big question for you, which was my question for myself, and I wish I would have done it so much sooner. And this is why, guys, I'm so committed to helping you get through this, is I wish I would have done it so much earlier than I did. There's 4 steps to changing your beliefs. It's awareness, it's understanding, separation, and reconditioning. Awareness is realizing that you can't change something unless you know it exists. You have to be aware of your thoughts. Understanding, by understanding where your way of thinking originated, you can recognize that it comes from outside of you, and it isn't you. I mean, it's not me, but it's something that was created from my thoughts, and I have to understand that. And then there's this separation that happens. Once you realize this way of thinking isn't you, you can separate yourself from it and choose in the present tense to keep it. Is it serving you or is it not serving you? And you can let it go. And then there's this reconditioning, introducing new beliefs that will help you increase your capacity to have more in your life, and understanding that process. So be curious, observe your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, actions, and inactions, guys. When you're not in motion, when you are making excuses, whenever you take tomorrow off and the next day off and the next day off and the next day off, and you don't show up in life and you don't show up in your business, you need to have observation around that. Notice what you do and how you think. Wake up and really become aware of past conditioning, automatic thoughts and feelings. You can now choose more empowering thoughts. So the formula for transformation, we've talked about it before, but you've got to realize, and this is in every book in regards to overcoming and mindset. It might be a little bit of a different lingo, but these points are these points every single time. They might put a different, like Bob Heilig says, the formula for transformation. Other people might use another word, but it's your beliefs create your thoughts create your feelings create your reactions, and your actions are your results of where you're sitting right now. If you're sitting in a place that doesn't serve you, that you don't like, that frustrates you, then there is a reason for that, and you need to work through. Sometimes it'll start with a feeling, and you need to kind of sit in that feeling and say, why do I feel the way that I feel? Like, what are my thoughts around that? How am I thinking around that? And it can take you backwards. And sometimes, usually it starts around your thoughts and feelings, and it can take you back to your beliefs. Like, what is my belief around that? So working through that process. The biggest thing that kind of has stood out for me so much of working through this is whenever I went to seminary and started studying the Word of God, we did expository teaching and learning in every book of the Bible. We did 9 different courses of theology, like we dug deep. And my first year was earth-shattering for me. And I had to learn to think biblically and to not from a traditional conditioning. And there is a big difference. You can grow up in a church and there are man-made traditions, judgments, thoughts, have-tos, have-nots that may not even come close to anything in Scripture. And to come to the place of saying, what is the biblical thinking around this versus do I need to shatter a belief that is incorrect? And that's what I think about with this is the beliefs in us that are limiting beliefs that are not ours, and we can choose for it not to be ours. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. This is a picture in 2016, 4 years ago. I just turned emerald. King Harold, who is the husband of Michelle Harold, that all of you know, he is a photographer and a dear friend, and he gifted me, or she gifted me, and he came with the gifting to take my emerald pictures. And I wanted to show you this because I've been at Emerald for 4 years. I am blessed to be at Emerald. I love what the Lord and how he has blessed me, and I love my team. I love the things that I'm learning and how I'm growing and the lives that I'm impacting. I do not discredit any of that whatsoever. But I've been there for 4 years, and I'm learning that a lot of it has to do with my personal mindset. And so I wanted to share this picture with you because I want to be vulnerable towards that. I want you to hear my story so that you can begin to be vulnerable with yourself and maybe with others of really unraveling your story. So I hit this position, and a lot of things happened in this year. I resigned from a full-time position. So I had 2 salaries that went to 1 salary. And I really started working through a lot of things. My worth, my purpose, was what I was doing good enough? Was the Lord proud of me? Did he see me in a good light? And my big money beliefs were around that were limiting beliefs. And this is all the stuff that I've worked out, is that I wasn't spiritual enough anymore, because I'd been in nonprofit, I'd been a Bible teacher, I had done, full-time ministry, and I was changing, and I changed without a doubt because God called me to. And I stepped out of a position because God called me to. And I had prayed about it for 5 months, and I actually took a month off and fasted and prayed and took sabbatical before I made that decision. I know that the decision was God's decision, and I was obedient to it. And it was super, super, super hard to do. But in the midst of that, my mind shifted, and I took on some beliefs that were not for me. They were not God's beliefs. And I am just realizing the fullness of what it has done, of me feeling like that I had sold out, that I was not spiritual enough. I believed that I made enough. How many of you are at a certain position and you're like, well, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. Like, I make enough. Like, I should be thankful for what I have. Any more than that, I could possibly become super greedy. Any more than that, I could become somebody else, somebody that's not nice. Like, all this junk. I am who I am, and that is not going to change me. In fact, it's going to make me even give more extravagantly. But I had to work through those things. I had this huge fear of losing money. And you might have that scarcity mindset. Money for me, which I'm not going to go into my past experiences, but it is huge security. But in the midst of that, money was used, abused, moved, manipulated, all those things. And so I had all these crazy beliefs around money that was holding me back. And I couldn't rank in my mind because God didn't think that I was good enough yet to rank. So I worked harder. I put in more hours. I did tons of work on myself. I sacrificed hours to give time to other people and to serve them because I thought maybe that will make it enough. Maybe that will make it enough. And whenever things didn't happen, I was like, well, I guess I'm just not good enough for God. Like, he still has work to do on me. And it was all these limiting beliefs that have finally been released. And it is the greatest piece of freedom. And I share that with you because I want that for you so badly. I finally have worked through those things and I'm ready to receive, and I'm excited about what this means for my future. But all of this is this cognitive dissonance, which means what you're doing isn't matching up to what you think and believe about yourself. What I was doing, what I have been doing, and what I have worked through over the last year, and specifically over the last 6 months, what I was doing wasn't matching to what I thought or what I believed about myself. Those limiting beliefs that were sabotaging and hurting me, that were not true, and I was allowing that negative thought and story to take over. So I want us to look at a couple of things, because where do you go from here? And this is what I want you to work through. What negative thoughts do you have when it comes to money and success? I want you to write those things down. What negative feelings do you have in the areas of money and success? What negative actions do you have around the areas of money and success? Because of this, what have been your results? Because it's time to change. And I really want you to do the work around this space that we're talking about right here. Change your beliefs and you will change your future. A belief is simply a thought that you make real or that you accept as truth. It's ingrained in you, and you make the mistake to believe it's actually true. It's not. It's just a thought, and you get to make the decision if it is for you or if it is against you, and you get to make the choice to change it. There's 3 main sources of programming that form your beliefs: verbal, modeling, and specific incidences. Those verbal is, what did you hear when you were growing up? Guys, this was a really big deal for me. This is what I really, really worked through. What did you hear from your parents, from grandparents when you were young about money? What did you see when you were young? That's your modeling. And then the specific incidences are, what did you experience through that? And so I want to give you some examples around that. So an example of the verbal conditioning, and see if any of these kind of resonate with you. Did you ever hear phrases like, money is the root of all evil, or save your money for a rainy day, or you have to work hard to make money? Money doesn't grow on trees. How many of us heard that? Money doesn't buy you happiness. You can't be rich and spiritual. You've already heard my whole thing around that. Not everyone is meant to be wealthy. So any of those things, those might have prompted you to think about some things that you heard whenever you were young. And then from a modeling standpoint, what were your parents like in the area of money whenever you were growing up? So think about this. Were they savers or spenders? Did your parents manage their money well? Did they take risk, or were they very conservative with money? Was money a source of joy, or was money a source of arguments? And did money come easily in your family, or was it a struggle? Working through this and realizing that the way our parents acted towards money, it has a huge impact on you and me. If we can understand that we created our current beliefs through our thoughts, and we also understand we can decide which thoughts we attach ourselves to or believe, we have the framework to change our beliefs. So I want us to get to work on this. I want you to identify your limiting beliefs. I've given you some examples here. I want you to take a piece of paper. I think that Michelle may have gone through some of this at Leadership 2.0 whenever she was at corporate a couple of months ago. I know I went through it a year ago with Becky Page. Every life coach goes through it. So you may have seen it in multiple different ways, but do the work. No matter where you've seen it, heard it, thought it, and you might have to do the work every single day, just like I told you I do. So I've given you some examples. I want you to get a piece of paper sometime this week, sit down, give yourself about an hour to really work through all the questions that we've talked about, work through this piece. So here's a couple of limiting beliefs. You have to work longer and harder to make money. And your new belief could be income is a byproduct of impact, not working harder. Second one, money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money that's evil. In the end, money just makes you more of what you already are. If you truly have a heart of good, it allows you to do that on a higher level. You heard me talk a little bit about that I thought that I would change in some way. I had to really get down to a new belief. Another limiting belief, it's selfish to want a lot of money. You heard that in my story. Money is an instrument to measure an exchange of value. If you impact and add value to someone's life through service, you should get an equal amount of value back. And then money can't buy me happiness. Money gives me freedom and the ability to impact lives of others on a bigger scale, which leads me to be more fulfilled in my life. So take some time, work through some different things about money. And I just want you to remember, if you're like I was and think that you're not worthy of money or success, simply start to recognize your own worth and value. Remind yourself that you are a child of God, created in His image, and you have great worth. Once you've created your new beliefs, I really want you to declare it out loud, which is so crazy, but it's so powerful. It's a powerful message to your mind, and it's important to change your thought patterns. And you got to get out of your head and get into your heart. It's critical for your future, your family's future, generations to come. For many of you, you're breaking the chains of generation to generation. You have been given the privilege and ability to change future generations of your family. But it's also really critical for you to do this and work through it for your team. Just like for me, and coming to the realization, if I was at capacity, if I had limiting beliefs and they were harming me, believe it or not, they're harming you, because I'm a model. I'm a role model. I'm a leader, and duplicating, even if it is not verbally spoken, it is done by example, just like we saw with conditioning of our family. And so understanding that the way you change your beliefs is the same way you formed the ones you currently have today, with deliberate practice and repetition over time. So I hope that that was helpful. We went through super quick. If y'all have any questions, I would love to answer those for you. If there's anything out there, was that helpful? Can I have a thumbs up, a thumbs down? Did y'all track with me? Was it good? Guys, I'm quite passionate around this. Several of you, I won't say your names out loud because you're probably not ready to tell your story, but you're already working through these things, and literally I'm seeing change, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and I'm excited for you and your future. But it takes the time to do the work. Does anybody want to share? Have y'all done the work? Anybody on here worked through some things? Had any ahas just from us talking through this? I'm going to stop our recording real quick so that you can speak